MedBix Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live programming.
Hey, welcome to the MedBix Webcast. This is Ramana Annam Raju. I'm the host. No, I'm not Albert Einstein. That's the doctor who is coming there. This is probably Albert Einstein. But this is an exception I'm doing for the very distinguished guest today. Dr. Harvey Castro is joining from Dallas, Texas. He wrote several books. Though he's a ER physician, he wrote several books on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is becoming extremely popular nowadays. Everybody is using it. I called one of my friends to talk about something, and it's just a conversation. He's using a ChatGPT to talk with me. So ChatGPT is a more, very useful in even conversations, and then sending messages, particularly for physicians. We're going to talk with the Dr. Castro about that. The other things are not only particularly one area physicians can get benefit is a denial management. Insurance companies are happy to reject all the claims, so they could use these denial management things through ChatGPT. A lot of documentation, you can provide all those things. Let us talk with Dr. Harvey Castro. Is a ER physician in Dallas, Texas, and he did a lot of plant-based medicines also. Let us talk with him what are the natural medicines a little bit, and let me bring him to the table. Dr. Castro, welcome to the MedBix Webcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell me, just to give me some of your background, personal and professional background a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm a ER board certified physician here in Dallas, Texas. Obviously, I love technology, and I kind of like you. I like thinking outside the box. I do things, I think, somewhat untraditional, but I think it's a path of creating new things. Little quick background. I've done over 30 companies that I have started, ranging from vitamin companies to iPhone companies to my own billing company in medicine, and physician staffing company, to started 8 emergency rooms here in Texas. So I've done a lot of stuff in the sense of entrepreneurship, but just bringing medicine and business together and creating, different things. Just a quick example. I started a company called Trusted Medical Centers, and the skinny is we were a freestanding ER, but we did things a little bit different from other places. So it was fun to practice medicine differently.
So you have a special interest that in technology. So you did a lot of, you authored a book on ChatGPT, healthcare. ChatGPT is becoming popular. Tell us, what is ChatGPT first? Then we talk about ChatGPT healthcare next.
Yeah. So, it's funny. People ask me all the time, what is ChatGPT? And I like giving examples and kind of analogies. Imagine having a friend, and I'm sorry for the background noise there for a second. Imagine having a friend that is the smartest person that you know. Imagine that you could call that friend day or night and ask that person anything you want. And to me, that is ChatGPT. So in essence, you can ask any question any time of day, and it'll be able to answer you. Now, the key part of it is when you ask ChatGPT a question, sometimes it'll say things, but sometimes it may hallucinate, meaning it may not be the accurate answer. It may be totally off board and may not exist as far as like when you ask for a reference, or if you say, hey, something, and it gives you a reply, but that something may not exist at all, may be totally confabulated to the point where it's untrue.
Dr. Castro, the thing is, ChatGPT, everybody is getting excited about it. So let me ask you, what is the particular benefit for physicians, you think?
the low-hanging fruit, I think, and not to worry about hallucinations, let's just say talking to patients. As a doctor, as you know, sometimes when we talk to patients, it's really difficult to explain something, or we use all this medical terminology and we kind of make assumptions about people sometimes, and we say, oh, they understand this word or they know what that means, but and sometimes they're so intimidated by the doctor that they're like, no, I don't want to ask the doctor, I don't want to be disrespectful, or I don't want them to think I'm dumb, so I'm going to tell them yes to everything he or she says. So what I try to explain is use ChatGPT to explain some tough terms. To even make it another example, something that you could do right now. It's probably my favorite example I always talk about. There was a kid that was 5 years old, pediatric, first time having issues with asthma, so diagnosed with asthma. And on the discharge instructions, the hospital took their discharge instructions and said, hey, let's change this to how you would speak to a 5-year-old. So they took their current discharge instruction, put it into ChatGPT, then they got the language of a 5-year-old, how you would speak to it, but basically going over all the discharge instructions for asthma. But then what was really cool is they used Dolly, and they texted pictures, and it made pictures into a coloring book, and they put it all together, and they gave that to the child to say, this is your discharge instructions. And I thought, this is the way to practice medicine, because now that child is able to understand asthma and how to avoid it, and why they need to take the medicine. And then on top of that, now it becomes a conversational piece with the parents. Whereas before, when you would have discharge instruction, you give it to the parents, they're not really going through it that well with the child, but now they have something that they can tangibly give. And I like that example because that's something that we can do today. That's something that we can help increase our better discharge instructions. I'm an ER doctor, and another example is I get people from all over the world when I worked real close to the airport. And so being able to be sensitive to different cultures, being able to talk to them in different languages, I feel like we could use AI to translate some of our information. Now, obviously, I'm not going to put a patient's phone number or personal information or violate HIPAA, but I think it's a way that we can actually help people.
Excellent example. That is a really cool, that you can talk with a 5-year-old. ChatGPT is helping you to talk with a 5-year-old. It is just unbeatable example of that. I used to take my son when he was a small kid, that he had an asthma problem, and then he could not express his all pains and everything. I think this is a great way of communicating with the kids. You give one of the best examples of that. What are the physicians? So you said that communication is the number one. What are the other communications they can do, doctors, with the patients?
Yeah, two things. I forgot about this other example. You can, if you really want to geek out, you could totally take those discharge instructions. I think it's Google has this parrot replicate, and it basically puts it into it, and then it talks as if it was a child, another child talking to a child, in that tone, in that language. So it's kind of really cool. Now, other more ways of using it, and I know some doctors out there are going to kill me when I say this, but I really think patients are going to use what we call Dr. Google. Patients are going to look up stuff no matter what you say. Even if you tell them that it's wrong, don't do that, they're still going to do it. And now with ChatGPT, they're going to start they're going to start looking up information in ChatGPT. So what I'm saying to patients is, why not make the questions so that you're very efficient with your doctor? Why not make, like, if I know I have diabetes, hypertension, I'm getting my blood pressure checked, I know my doctor's going to talk to me about my hemoglobin A1C, why not prepare myself and ask what questions I need to ask my doctor? So before I even go to the office, I already know these questions I want to have them. That way, when I'm with my doctor, there's not this awkward moment that I don't know what to say or ask. But now I'm saying, take it to another level. Have your laptop ready and go through it with the doctor and say, hey, I don't understand. Let me write this down. Let me have ChatGPT kind of explain this to me as well, and then see if you agree with this. Because I think big picture, being able to get the most out of our patients with our time, the average doctor only gets 13 minutes with their patients. That's it. So think about it. You're getting 13 minutes a year with your doctor to give you information. That's very little. But if you maximize that time and make it more efficient using the power of AI, why not do that? The other example that I talk about is using AI to help us understand, the big news lately was empathy. And so, as much as compassionate as we are for our patients, sometimes we have a hard time talking to our patients. So why not have ChatGPT tell us how to talk to someone, and I know that sounds stupid, like, oh, I've told patients a million times bad news, but you know what? Why not ask AI to help me formulate what words should I use? Maybe I should change my words. Maybe I should change the way I sit. There's different cues that can make me even better. There's always room for improvement. And so, to give you a real life point, I had to have a tough conversation with my 19-year-old, and literally said, okay, here are the topics that I need to talk to my 19-year-old. Help me talk to my 19-year-old in a 19-year-old point of view. And it gave me all these points, and I sat my son down and I had to print out and memorize it, and I talked to him, and he's like, Dad, that was so good. Like, you really, really explained it very well, and I get it. And I was like, man, that's so funny. Here I am, a doctor. I'm very well studied. I know psychology, I know everything, but it actually helped me. So I'm just going to encourage doctors out there to use it.
My son is a neuroscience graduate. He uses a lot of neuro-linguistic language, and so people just mesmerized to listen to him. I learned from him a little bit of the words he used is a very effective. That's absolutely ChatGPT could help in that direction. But there's a pitfall there also. If the patient is looking at it, so you could ChatGPT won't diagnose or a treatment, give a specific diagnosis or a specific treatment plan. But the patients there is a pitfall. Patients could misunderstanding that interpretation and taking it as a diagnosis or treatment could be a danger to the patient's health. Do you agree with that?
Yes. In fact, one of the reasons why I'm such a big advocate out there talking about ChatGPT in healthcare is because I'm more worried about our patients than our doctors. Our doctors understand information and say, okay, this is wrong, this is correct, this is BS, I'm not going to use this. But patients don't have an MD behind their name or a DO. They don't. And so whatever information they get, they don't know if that is correct or if it's hallucinating. My biggest worry is the following. What if a patient self-diagnosed and outside of the United States, they can go to a pharmacy and just pick up whatever drug. And now, unfortunately, they can kill themselves, they can hurt themselves, or just the emotional trauma to say, oh my God, ChatGPT told me I have cancer, I'm going to die. No. And that's where I think I'm okay with saying doctors go at it, because doctors understand technology to some extent. They know what is information that is wrong. That's like, no, this is not correct, I'm not going to do this. I don't foresee any doctors just taking ChatGPT, not even reading it, and just giving it to their patients. They're not going to do that. They're going to look at it, evaluate, and say this is correct or incorrect, and then modify and then give it to their patients.
It is a big pitfall. But that I spoke with Rudolf Wagner from Germany. He wrote a lot of articles on confabulance and making up story. AI can make up some stories. For example, if somebody puts coconut oil can cure cancer, and then everybody uses that as a real fact. That's AI. AI is basically takes as a fact and putting in make up the story. That could be a danger to you got to be very careful about that. So the physicians have that challenges that people bringing this kind of strange stuff, snake oil pitches to the doctors. Then ChatGPT is that is an area that the future physicians has to watch.
Oh yeah, not everything shiny should we use. I like talking about ChatGPT in healthcare also, because I feel like it's a good tool, but it's not the right tool for healthcare. It's almost like using a shotgun for a fight, but you don't need it. All you need is your fist. So when it comes to AI, I feel like we need to keep an eye out for BioGPT or Hippocratic AI or Glass Health AI. These are all different AI models that have been made for physicians or for healthcare. One of the biggest scares is, it's kind of funny. In general, people Google things that they don't know, and whatever it comes out, they're like, okay, that's probably okay. But with ChatGPT, you can't do that, because if you start asking too many questions that you don't know, the answer back might be so good that it's actually wrong, but in your brain, you're like, oh yeah, this is correct, it looks good. And in reality, it's wrong. So I always tell my doctors and patients, please be careful.
So you wrote a book, you wrote several books on, you were always writing books. tell us what kind of books you wrote, and so far, what are the books that what you did in that books, and what is the latest book?
Yeah. So in December, actually November, I played with ChatGPT for the first time, and I fell in love with it. And I said, "Oh my God, this is going to help patients. This is going to help my doctors. I'm going to write a book about it." My wife thought I was crazy because I just kept writing every day, and finally I got it out. And what I talked about in the first book, it was just kind of 10,000 feet high. What is ChatGPT and all the different ways it can be used, but as the months have progressed, I started working more specifically with different areas of AI. For example, I started working on how a patient can use ChatGPT to help them with their meal plan, to help them with their groceries. To give you a quick example, ChatGPT has something called plugins. And so one of them is Instacart. So in theory, say you had, I'm going to use diabetes as an example. Say you had a patient with diabetes, they're not eating well. You can tell them all the food that they should be eating, but in reality, they may not. And so one of the ideas is, hey, ChatGPT, I have a diabetic patient. Let's put them on a keto diet. They hate eggs. They're allergic to fruit. They don't eat fish. Give me a diet plan. So then it gives you the diet plan. But with the plugin, what can be really cool is that it puts it into the patient's Instacart. The patient pays, checks out, and now all that food goes to the patient being delivered. And now this is something you both agreed on. And so the possibility of how we can help our patients is just amazing, being able to use, AI.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the areas I found out, I don't know whether you explored on that direction, is denial management. Well, some of the doctors, cardiologists use it that to insurance claims, you put additional documents through ChatGPT. So do you know anything about it? A little bit about denial management?
Yeah. I'm going blank on the name of the rheumatologist, but back in December, he went viral. There was a rheumatologist that was fighting one of the insurance companies and sent a letter. And, using this technology is good, but the problem is you have to verify everything. He didn't realize that when he wrote the letter, it was giving references, and the references had nothing to do with the argument that he was doing. So that was wrong. The name of the author did not match the name of the article, and so that was wrong. And so we have to make sure that if we are using this technology, that we are verifying. Now, there's a technology that is with ChatGPT, and basically it's called Bing Copilot. Now that has references, and you don't have to ask, but it'll have references. But even when it does give you references,
Which one is
please
that,
make sure
please?
you look
Can
at
you
those
repeat that?
references to make sure that it's correct. It
What,
Yeah, it's
can you
simple. It's
repeat
just
that? Bing? Is it a Bing, you said?
bing.com.
Which one?
Yeah, Microsoft's product. It's
Microsoft or Bing,
bing.com,
okay.
but it's their chat GPT.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Bing Copilot, but you go into chat and then type it in, and at the bottom, it's free. It gives you the references. And then if you're not happy with them, if you get really fancy with prompt engineering, which is how to talk to ChatGPT, you can almost have it write the whole letter for you and say, I need a letter to Aetna, address it by Dr. Castro. It's to confirm this procedure, but I need references that are verified by the NIH. And then it'll go on the NIH, try to find that article or something, and then it'll give it to you. It's quite interesting.
So your book is available on Amazon, right? ChatGPT, Dr. Harvey Castro. They can. What is ChatGPT Healthcare? Is available on
Yes.
Amazon.
Yeah. All these books behind me, I wrote them this year. And it's all different types
Actually,
of books. Some are
they cannot read it
focused
because
for
you need to put a
patients.
mirror image. But anyway, machine learning. I think machine learning algorithms or something that I saw that
Yeah,
thing.
there's a bunch. Just type in my name under Amazon. Yeah, just type Harvey Castro under Amazon, and you'll see all the books. Or come on my LinkedIn, and I have a link on my
Yeah.
my LinkedIn
I,
page.
I'm amazed at how you write that books because I wrote a one book. I almost bled to death. You have to bleed. Once you start writing, it is just takes a soul and energy and everything. It is not easy. I really
It
appreciate
does.
your the writing and with all the work you're doing outside as a physician. Really. So the future physicians, has to learn these kind of things. That the old way of doing traditional medicine is going to die. So people need to adopt new kind of techniques, new kind of AI algorithms, new kind of understanding and empathy kind of things. They have to do that kind of a new physician. I'm going to present a topic on that, if you don't mind. You will watch together, okay? So then, but anyway, what do you think of the video What do you think of my presentation? Why the doctors need to be polymath physicians like you?
No, it's awesome. I agree with you. It's funny because this morning on LinkedIn, I was just talking about being bilingual and how that helps open up different pathways of your brain. But just because you don't speak another language, I even pushed today that it's okay to speak the AI language or a computer language. It's just the whole thing is to be versed in different things. As an ER doctor, I feel like I know a lot, but very little deep depth. But I feel like I do know a lot, and so I do think it's very important for our physicians to be able to wear different hats. So I agree.
So tell me
Good
about a
job.
little bit about your role now. What is your next steps about the Chat GPT? What are you thinking? What are you doing in the future with the Chat GPT
Yeah,
healthcare? And what are you going to do
yeah.
with the AI part, AI in general within healthcare? Are you writing books? Are you working in the apps? Or what is your role?
Yeah, I'm currently doing some beta testing on some AI apps of my own and some ideas and proof of concept. So my goal is by September or August, we'll have some products out on the market. As far as AI in healthcare, I'm working also with different companies around the world as a consultant to help them better understand how to use AI in healthcare. So I'm having a good time
Excellent.
just
Yeah.
helping people and working with different people, having them understand. So I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yes. It's absolutely an honor to talk with you. It's a great privilege and honor. And I want the doctors to talk about a little bit more about AI and the benefits. And you made a good assessment of AI. Is a good and bad. You said that that's a good thing. You just give a clear picture of what is the benefits of it, what are the pitfalls of it. If people has to know like blindly one way or other way they're taking, it's not true. Both some say the ChatGPT is wrong, or some people say the ChatGPT is the all answer for everything. It is not. There is something that you need to in the middle ground we need to reach, and then you did to demonstrate that very well. Thank you. It's truly an honor and privilege, sir, to talk with you.
Thank you so much. You have a blessed day and great presentation. Good job. Thank you.
Science is real. We brought vaccines with unprecedented speed to face the present global pandemic. But it is not possible without the help of great giants of science and medicine from the past. We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. This is Jennifer, Vice President of Branding at MedBricks. Microsoft founder Bill Gates says, reading about history of science and learning about scientists of the past are an integral part of understanding and appreciating the true science.
If you want to learn science, reading the history of scientists and the story of scientists about when they were confused and what tools or insights allowed them to make the progress they make. So you have the timeline, or you have the map, or you have the branches of science and what's known and what's not known. So incremental knowledge is so much easier to maintain in a rich way.
Talking about scientists, Marie Curie certainly is on top of the list. Despite public shaming about her affair with a colleague, she won the Nobel Prize twice. She designed the first ever medical mobile X-ray trailer called Petite Curie. It saved countless lives during World War I and subsequent wars. She was a prolific scientist and a true feminist of her time. C.V. Raman, scientist from India, and his discovery, called Raman scattering, is fast becoming an invaluable instrument of a diagnostic tool in medical imaging. His discovery is omnipresent in every area of medicine. Paul Dirac of England scribbled a mathematical equation that paved the way for present-day medical wonder called positron emission tomography. It is referred to as PET scan, which is widely used in detecting tumors and cancers with the utmost precision. History might have forgotten Dr. Yella Pragada Subbaraw, but his contributions to the world of medicine is hidden everywhere. This Indian-born medical scientist created the first ever chemotherapy drug called methotrexate that saved countless children with leukemia. Now, the drug is being widely used for other types of cancers. It is also used in the treatment of ectopic pregnancies, rheumatoid arthritis, and several other conditions. He is instrumental in creating the first broad-spectrum antibiotic drug called tetracycline. Let us bring this iconic man, Dr. Yella Pragada Subbaraw, who comes from a small town from the state of Andhra Pradesh, India, to the front lines of world history through Daily Wear for Medicine t-shirts. With extraordinary data analytical skills, might have been known as a lady with a lamp in the history books. She was the first woman to use population health analytics to fight infectious diseases. That is Florence Nightingale. British-born aristocrat Florence Nightingale championed the welfare of wounded British soldiers during the Crimean War. She put forward a detailed sanitation infrastructure plan for India to prevent mosquito-bitten malaria and other communicable diseases. She is a brainy mathematician who happened to be a nurse with unbounded compassion to fellow humans. We at Daily Wear for Medicine honor Florence Nightingale through this t-shirt representing every nurse and nursing student following their footsteps of the Nightingale Pledge. We at MedBricks are bringing these remarkable stories through visual art with our patented designs called Daily Wear for Medicine. T-shirts, conference bags, and other forms of merchandise are available through popular online networks. Creating visual art is one of the defining characteristics of the human species. We hope it creates awareness and reiterates confidence in the field of medicine, particularly in times of crisis we are in. We hope you join us in this journey in paying tribute to the contributions made by scientists and physicians alike. Thank you for watching. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.